My friend, Alvy Moore. I'm Randy Andrew. I've been an entertainer all my life, and I've had the privilege of knowing and working with some very talented people in show business. Alvy Moore was one of those people. He grew up in my hometown, Terre Haute, Indiana, but by the time I was born, Alvy had left Terre Haute, served as a Marine in World War II, and was pursuing an acting career in Hollywood. He began learning his craft at the Pasadena Playhouse, where many Hollywood stars received their early training. It was also where Alvy met Carolyn Moore, an actress with the same last name but spelled differently. Alvy and Carolyn were married in 1950 and raised 3 children, Janet, Barry, and Allison. In the early 1950s, Alvy became a roving reporter on Walt Disney's The Mickey Mouse Club. He also began getting small roles in movies such as The Wild One with Marlon Brando, 5 Against the House with Kim Novak, Brian Keith, and Guy Madison, Susan Slept Here with Debbie Reynolds, and Secret of the Incas with Charlton Heston. In the mid-50s, he began appearing on television shows such as My Little Margie with Gail Storm, and My Mother the Car with Jerry Van Dyke. Jerry Van Dyke also spent time in his early career working in our hometown of Terre Haute. He starred in his own local TV show in the late 1950s. In the early 1960s, Alvy appeared on 2 episodes with Jerry's older brother Dick on The Dick Van Dyke Show. But it was an appearance on the Beverly Hillbillies that got the attention of Filmway's producers, who were casting for a new television show called Green Acres. They cast Alvy as the agriculture agent, Hank Kimball. He had an unusual self-correcting manner where he makes a statement, qualifies it, corrects it, then corrects it further, and finally loses track of what he was saying entirely.
Quiet, please, quiet. As you all know, I'm your County Kimball Hank agent. I believe I am. I'm Hank Kimball, your county agent. Yes, that sounds better. Gentlemen, this is what's been chewing on the leaves of your corn. This is the mother. No, it's the father. It might be an uncle. Anyway, this is the Bing Bug.
I first met Alvy in 1968 when I was stationed at George Air Force Base in Southern California. Alvy and Carolyn invited me to spend the weekend with them at their home in Northridge. The following Monday, Alvy took me on the set of Green Acres and introduced me to many of the cast members. On the way to the studio, I helped him rehearse his lines for the day's shoot. He told me when he was by himself, people would look at him and think, "Who is he talking to?" So he'd pat the steering wheel and bob his head up and down so they'd think he was singing along with a radio. In 1971, Green Acres ended its 6-year run on television. Alvy invited me down to spend a day on the set of a movie he and fellow actor L.Q. Jones were producing. Alvy introduced me to one of the film stars, Strother Martin. He was best known for the movie Wild Bunch and his classic line from Cool Hand Luke, "What we have here is failure to communicate." The movie was called The Brotherhood of Satan. Strother played the kindly old doctor who was about to lead a cult of senior citizens in a ritual which would take over the souls of many of the town's children. L.Q. Jones portrayed the sheriff, with Alvy as his assistant, Toby. The set covered both side walls and filled the soundstage. A local coven of 12 elderly satanic witches lined the walls with 12 children perched on pedestals before each one of them. Alvy cast his 13-year-old daughter Allison as one of the children on the pedestal, and he thought his mother Elsie would get a big kick out of being an extra in a Hollywood movie. Elsie had never acted before, and she enjoyed being in the background and not drawing attention to herself like a good extra does. What Alvy wasn't aware of until that day was that the director required each of the senior actors to do a dramatic and bloody death scene. Elsie was a nervous wreck, so Alvy tried to calm her down and convince her that it was going to be a piece of cake, and she'd be just fine. When he came back to where we were, he quietly said to us, "I can't believe I'm doing this to my mother." As the scene began, two actors dressed in black hoods with flaming swords whipped back and forth in front of her as the prop man squirted her with fake blood all over her body. She let out a small shriek as she slid down the back wall, and with a truly terrified look on her face. That day, Alvy Moore decided to end her acting career, and after all that, her scene was edited out of the final cut. I guess that's what it means when they say, "My best work ended up on the cutting room floor." Alvy and LQ's next venture was a movie called A Boy and His Dog. It starred a 24-year-old actor named Don Johnson in his first ever starring role. Jason Robards and Alvy also shared co-starring roles in this picture that takes place after a nuclear war way in the future, 2024. Through the 1970s, Alvy appeared on Little House on the Prairie, Love American Style, The Waltons, and How the West Was Won, just to name a few. He even took time to come to the high desert when I threw my hat in the ring and ran for office. He spoke these heartfelt words.
I just want to say that I'm delighted being here. I hope Randy gets this position, because if he wants it, he's a deserving guy. He's a credit to your community. And I've known him, as I say, for a lot of years. He started at the bottom of the ladder, and he stayed there.
He did have something else to say.
No, he's a nice gentleman, and I think he will serve a term of mayor in your house great.
And of course, he closed with a joke.
And I just would like to close with today, what this country needs is men who are inspiring, who are great, who are determined to get to the point and really do something worthwhile. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you show me a man that says, "I love you" in the morning, and I'll show you a man getting dressed, ready to go home. Thank you.
Alvy helped me out with some publicity photos for a TV pilot I did. He was Grand Marshal for our Apple Valley Powwow Parade. And here's my mother, me, Carolyn, and Alvy that day. In 1994, Alvy and Carolyn's home was hit hard by the Northridge earthquake. Alvy later wrote, "The earth moved, and so did we. We now live in Palm Desert." Alvy continued to act into the 1990s on Fantasy Island, Frasier, and of course the TV movie reunion, Return to Green Acres. He was also the voice of Grandpa Little on the cartoon The Littles. Semi-retired, Alvy participated in celebrity golf tournaments and made appearances from time to time. In May of 1997, Tom Lester, who played Eb Dawson, the farmhand on Green Acres, was staying with Alvy to play in a Palm Springs celebrity golf tournament. That morning, Tom found Alvy in his lounge chair. He had suffered a fatal heart attack. He was 75 years old. Alvy's daughter Janet joined him in 2000 from cancer. Carolyn followed in 2009. My friend, Alvy Moore.